It was the kind of love that could set the world ablaze, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. When Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton collided, it wasn't merely romance. It was a cataclysm, two stars crashing in a fiery explosion, too dazzling to escape the fallout yet drawn back by the flames. They were not just actors. They were living legends, Oscar winners, tabloid royalty, and a dazzling force of nature when together. Their affair didn't just raise eyebrows. It sent shockwaves that even reached the Vatican, which accused them of erotic vagrancy. But the allure of their relationship went deeper than infidelity and diamonds. It was an intoxicating addiction. They were each other's mirrors, reflecting fears and desires, mistaking pain for passion. Beneath the glitz and glamour lay two wounded souls who couldn't heal on their own. And as their passionate romance unraveled, it became a brutal testament to love's dangerous edge, a fire that consumed everything in its path. It all began in the lavish, sun-drenched expanse of the set for Cleopatra in 1961. He was Richard Burton, a beguiling Welsh actor whose deep, velvety voice could charm the most discerning of audiences, and whose penchant for whiskey was as legendary as his performances. She was Elizabeth Taylor, a mesmerizing beauty renowned for her striking violet eyes, and already a five-time divorcee at the tender age of 29, living a life adorned with diamonds and drama. From the very first moment their eyes met, a palpable electricity surged through the air, igniting a spark that neither could resist. Yet, looming over this intoxicating connection were two significant complications. They were both married to other people. Elizabeth was bound to singer Eddie Fisher, while Burton was tied to actress Sybil Williams. Despite the weight of their commitments, their magnetic attraction proved irresistible. The sultry chemistry that ignited on screen spilled over into their off-screen lives, turning rehearsals into passionate rendezvous as the world looked on with fascination. Paparazzi swarmed, tracking their every move, turning their love story into a public spectacle. Tabloids throbbed with headlines, eagerly chronicling each stolen glance and whispered secret. But beyond the glitz and glamour, what the world perceived as passionate romance was teetering on the precipice of something far darker. As their affair unfolded under the unrelenting gaze of fame, the initial thrill began to morph into a tumultuous ride fraught with complexities and turmoil. The intoxicating passion, once exhilarating, threatened to spiral into a storm of heart-wrenching choices and consequences, marking the beginning of a love story that would be remembered for both its beauty and its tragedy. Behind the relentless glare of flashing cameras, a tumultuous storm brewed between Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Their nights were often marred by excessive drinking, a ritual that spiraled out of control with each passing moment. As the bottles emptied, so did their patience for one another. When their disagreements erupted, they transcended mere quarrels. It was as if the heavens themselves clashed in a magnificent display of thunderous rage. Friends and onlookers would later describe their explosive arguments as Shakespearean in nature, filled with dramatic flair. The air would thrum with tension, punctuated by a cacophony of curses, the slamming of doors, and declarations so intense they left even the most seasoned observers feeling uneasy. Once, in a moment dripping with both love and menace, Burton turned to Taylor and declared, "You're too beautiful. I'll destroy you." It was a chilling statement that sent shivers through those who heard it, punctuating the complicated love they shared. But the chaos didn't rest solely on Burton's shoulders. Taylor, never one to back down from a challenge, matched his fiery spirit drink for drink and word for word. Their initial chemistry, a magnetic pull that drew them together, soon erupted into a fierce combustion that neither could extinguish. Every argument only deepened their bond, forging an explosive connection that was as intoxicating as the alcohol that fueled it. Despite the turbulence of their relationship, an invisible thread seemed to bind them together, refusing to sever even amid chaos. They danced on the edge of destruction yet found solace in the storm, drawn to each other with a ferocity that defied logic. In that wild and vibrant world, love and conflict wove a complicated tapestry that neither of them could bear to untangle. In 1964, the world bore witness to a union that was as glamorous as it was tumultuous, the marriage of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Their lavish ceremony, set against a backdrop of opulence and media frenzy, was touted as the epitome of Hollywood royalty. With private jets at their disposal and yachts that glided across azure waters, they presented an image of a couple at the zenith of romance and wealth. Richard famously gifted Elizabeth a breathtaking 33-carat diamond, a stunning gem so extraordinary that it earned the moniker Taylor-Burton diamond, a symbol of their extravagant love. Yet, behind the facade of glitz and glamour lay a tempestuous reality. Their relationship, rather than being a fairy tale, was fraught with jealousy, infidelity, and explosive tempers. Burton's numerous affairs sparked Taylor's suspicions, igniting a volatile cycle of flirtation and rage that often culminated in fierce battles. While the world adored their passionate love story, whispers of physical altercations circulated among insiders, hinting at a darker side. A world where items were thrown in anger and bruises were carefully concealed beneath layers of makeup. The couple's tumult was encapsulated in their collaboration on the film Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, a haunting portrayal of a bitter, toxic marriage. Critics hailed it as their finest work, but a lingering question hovered in the air. To what extent were they acting? As the cameras rolled, were they merely playing roles, or were they, in some way, channeling the undeniable energy of their dysfunctional love? This captivating narrative of passion and pain offers a window not just into their lives, but into the very heart of love's complexities, where the line between devotion and despair often blurs, creating a spellbinding tale that continues to resonate. In 1974, the curtain finally fell on a tumultuous decade of passion and conflict. After 10 years of fiery love and even fiercer battles, the couple decided to part ways. They publicly labeled their split as mutual, a carefully crafted facade that veiled the chaos simmering beneath the surface. In reality, their relationship was anything but amicable, entwined in a storm of emotions and unresolved tensions. Just when it seemed the world had witnessed the final act of their dramatic saga, fate intervened. Less than a year later, in a shocking turn of events, they tied the knot once more, reigniting the flame that had flickered and flared throughout their tumultuous romance. However, this second act proved to be even more perilous than the first. The fights escalated with alarming speed, each argument more intense and devastating than the last. The wounds they inflicted upon each other ran deeper, leaving scars that would forever shape their lives. Richard Burton, with a sense of painful clarity, would later reflect on this ill-fated reconciliation, confessing, "It was a terrible mistake." By 1976, the curtain fell again, seemingly for good, as the couple called it quits for the second time. But was it truly the end of their story? What followed defied all logic, charting a course that was both chaotic and unforgettable, an entanglement that would linger in the public's consciousness long after the final bow. Their saga, marked by love, conflict, and an undeniable connection, would resonate through the decades, illustrating the complexity of human relationships extraordinarily. After their second divorce, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor maintained a respectful distance for a time. Yet, beneath the surface, an undeniable connection lingered, a bond that had withstood the test of love and heartbreak. In 1984, the world was shaken by the sudden news of Richard Burton's death. A brain hemorrhage had claimed the life of the legendary actor at just 58 years old. The loss reverberated most profoundly within Elizabeth. She wasn't merely mourning an ex-husband. She was saying goodbye to the man who, despite the tumultuous chapters of their past, still held a piece of her heart. In the days following his death, a secret love letter from Burton was discovered. Written just days before his passing, the letter remained a private treasure, its full contents never made public. Elizabeth cherished it deeply, keeping it close by her bedside for the rest of her life, a poignant reminder of a love that transcended time. Rumors circulated among close friends that Burton, in the final days of his life, was contemplating leaving his wife to reunite with Elizabeth once more. Was this decision driven by a lingering passion, an overwhelming desire to rekindle the flame they had kindled in their youth? It seemed that fate had painted a vivid picture of a potential reunion, one that would ultimately remain a dream. But fate, as it often does, had different plans. Even as Elizabeth mourned, the specter of what could have been loomed large in her heart. A testament to a love story filled with passion, pain, and an unbreakable bond that neither time nor circumstance could entirely sever. When Richard Burton was laid to rest in Switzerland, a profound request echoed from his beloved Elizabeth Taylor. She wished to be buried beside him, to remain united in the afterlife. Tragically, his wife vehemently opposed this wish, leaving Elizabeth heartbroken. However, the indomitable spirit of Taylor would not be quelled so easily. Upon her passing in 2011, Elizabeth opted for a touching final tribute to her lifelong love. She had Burton's last letter, a piece of his essence, his words, interred alongside her, symbolizing a bond that transcended even death. It was a poignant testament to a love story marked by passion and tumult, a connection so profound that they could not be separated, even in the grave. In a final, stunning act of theatricality, Elizabeth planned an extraordinary detail for her farewell. True to her vibrant personality, she instructed her team to delay the hearse carrying her casket by a full 15 minutes. Why, you ask? It was her way of ensuring that, even in death, she would command attention, making one last dramatic entrance. She wanted the world to remember her not only for her iconic roles on screen, but also for her larger-than-life spirit that demanded to be noticed. With each heartbeat, even in her final moments, Elizabeth Taylor managed to keep everyone waiting, embodying the essence of a star who never faded from the spotlight. The curtain had not yet fallen on her captivating life. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton were anything but ordinary. They were a force of nature. Their love story wasn't subtle or serene. It was a tempest that stirred drama and passion at every turn. It didn't settle into the comfort of domesticity or heal the wounds it inflicted. Instead, it roared with an intensity that scorched everything in its path: careers, marriages, reputations. Yet, despite the chaos, they continually found their way back to each other, time and time again. This wasn't a love that adhered to social conventions or moral standards. No, it was a fierce, consuming fire, fueled by a connection that only they could truly understand. In a world that watched their every move, they discovered solace in each other's madness, forging a bond that thrived amidst the tumult. What they shared wasn't merely a romantic entanglement. It was a stark warning, a harrowing tale of desire that could drown them in its depths, of fame that magnified their worst instincts, and of the peril that ensued when two titans fell in love. A love that eclipsed their true selves, obscured by the relentless gaze of the public eye. The diamonds, the scandals, the shards of broken glass. The remnants of their passion are entwined with love letters that were never meant for public consumption, whispers of a transcendent love that defied all reason. But beneath the layers of celebrity, a stark truth remained. They never truly stopped loving each other. Not really. Not even when the world clamored for their separation, urging them to conform to a more conventional narrative. Welcome to Hollywood Unforgotten, a realm where legends never fade and the untold tales of passion and heartbreak finally emerge from the shadows. If you find yourself captivated by love affairs that set the headlines ablaze, intrigued by the secrets buried beneath the glittering facade, and eager to uncover the untold truths of silver screen icons, then this is the place for you. Don't merely witness this saga unfold. Be part of it. Subscribe now, because the next story may plunge even deeper into darkness, spiral even further into chaos, and perhaps alter your perception of Hollywood forever. Are you ready to join us on this wild journey through the glimmer and grit of Tinseltown? The stories waiting to be told just might change everything.